Oh, hello everyone. Sorry, I haven't got much time to talk. I am just packing up my stuff. I'm leaving the country. I'm leaving my house to find a new secret base because someone's blackmailed me because of a video I made and talking about my unpopular opinions. So instead of doing the bold and strong thing and it's a standout, I'm running away from my fears. Because, you know, that's what you should do. But, yeah, while I'm to make sure I don't get blackmailed, I'm going to do the complete and utter opposite thing of what the person wants to happen. I'm going to release the video today, now, officially. I don't know why I'm pointing my fingers downwards, but, yeah. So, I'm going to carry on packing, but please remember, this video is my opinion, so if you are going to start sending me death threats and bombs and setting my house on fire, please remember I will be moved out of this house. So while you're watching the video, I'm going to carry on packing while you're already planning out your death threats to me. So, yeah. I think this might be slightly broken. This video is me talking about unpopular opinions of mine about Pokemon that I know for a fact that most people in the Pokemon community will disagree me on. If you think like me or think differently, it doesn't matter. And we all have our own opinions, and that's fine. So I'm going to get on to number 1. Pokemon Black and White only having new Pokemon and none of the past Pokemon until the post-game. I know why some of you might not like the idea of not being able to capture other Pokemon because of limiting your team to just these new Pokemon, just in case you don't like them for whatever reason, and you want to just use older Pokemon. However, I felt that isn't really a good enough excuse when, if you think about it in the past, that every Pokemon game, you can't generally catch all the Pokemon unless you either complete the Pokédex or I get why some of you might not like this because of the fact that you want to use your older Pokemon and not be limited to the newer Pokemon that they force you to do. However, I believe that all Pokemon games, from and since, have always forced you to use a specific amount of Pokemon unless you transfer them from a different game, because that's just always been the case. If you look at Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, you had to transfer a Pokemon from a different game to use it in this new game. So, it's not anything different, and I don't think that's really necessarily a problem. And the reasons why I like it is it gives the Unova region more separation from the other regions. Like, it doesn't make sense that all Pokemon regions will have all the same Pokemon in it. It's like the real world. We don't get, like, African frogs in the UK or Mexican giraffes. I don't think there are giraffes in Mexico, I'm not sure. In America, it's a very bad example, but you get the idea. You don't get all Pokemon in the in every area of the world, and you don't get all animals in everywhere in the world. So I feel it just gives the Unova region more personality, and it makes slightly more sense. Like, why wouldn't some of these Pokemon who like all originated as Zubats maybe, and then but some of them have evolved differently from a different area in the world, just because this is basing in a very different place than Japan, because this was the first games based outside of Japan. So that's what I like about it. And, okay, I will be honest, Pokemon Black and White were my first Pokemon games, so I have grown to like these Pokemon a lot. But, again, I did say this was my opinion, so it doesn't make sense. And actually, I find Pokemon Black and White 2... I don't like the fact that they make you add in all the Pokemon in certain areas. Like, I get why they, like, have them in the new farm area and stuff, but I don't like the fact that they make that there are, like, ones in the sewer of Castelia City, isn't that what's called? it doesn't make sense in my mind. So I wish they kept to that idea. So that was my first opinion difference. Let's move on to number 2. Pokemon are not making massive leaps and they're keeping the games all the same. This is something I just disagree with, because if you look at newer games, they have done quite a few changes. Like, some of them have been taken quite well, like the removal of HMs and TMs, but other ones have been less positive. However, they are making changes, and some of them are quite big, like changing the gyms to trials. And okay, they are very similar, but they are different, as well as Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee going with a whole new catching mechanic. The problem is that people seem to just dislike them a lot of the time. So I just think that the problem is, it's not that the Pokemon and Game Freak aren't changing things, it's more the fact that people aren't liking them when they do. So I feel that's why people just forget that they are.
I'm almost ready to get going, so I'm just going to put my backpack, and I've got my suitcase, and I'm going to get going now. So see you in my new hiding place. This will be where all the videos will happen, and we'll all be happy and fine.
I know for a fact that my number 3 opinion is going to be probably my disliked most opinion, but I don't really feel that Diamond and Pearl are very good Pokemon games. I'm not saying they're bad video games, just not very good Pokemon games. I'd like to also mention right now that Pokemon Platinum, even if I do feel it's slightly overrated, I do feel it's tons better than Diamond and Pearl. But I just want, and it fixes most of the problems. But Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are, in my opinion, some of the worst Pokemon games really out there. And I'm not saying they're bad games, but just bad Pokemon games. The reason is because the games are extremely slow, and they are got a very bad pacing issue. So they're slow in the gameplay itself, but they're also, the pacing seems to be like, you, at the beginning, the first two gyms are like in the good time, then there's this massive gap, and then there's another bit of a gap, and then they go one after another after another after another. They really aren't very good, well-paced games. They're just really awkward, and also the fact is that a lot of the characters are generally quite forgetful, and I felt that Pokemon Platinum did fix a lot of the character problems in my mind. And the game wants you to go slow, because they make you try and go slow as much as possible. That is, in my opinion, what the point of fog is. And there's the HM problem. I'm not going to talk any more about Pokemon Diamond Pearl, because I am probably going to have to do a whole good video about it. And also, let's just say there are some great things about Pokemon Diamond Pearl. The Snowy City is amazing looking, and there are some exciting points, and also I do think that the the Pokemon are pretty good, but there are just a lot of problems, in my opinion. So that was number 3. Something I want to say before I move on to number 4 that I probably should have mentioned at the beginning is that none of these are in any specific order. I'm just adding them in for when the gameplay is slightly relevant to what I'm talking about, or some of them not at all. And also I do want to add in a little bit of a clip before I move on to number 4. So yeah,
Taking all my last stuff down, and we'll be arriving shortly there in a second.
My number 4 is actually to do with newer games being easy. I disagree with that comment to a extent. I'm not saying that the newer games are difficult in any means, but I wouldn't call them easy. I would also call them easier compared to the older Pokemon games, but they're not easy. The reason why I say that is, I will agree that there have been easier Pokemon games in more recent times. Pokemon X and Y is a prime example of far too easy, and it was really hard for anyone to make it artificially hard. And even the newer games, I feel, are generally a little bit more easier. apart from Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon being not the last game, but the game beforehand, and the final game on the 3DS being absolutely difficult, and you don't even, that is with the experience share on, and I don't even want to try that with it off. And I know some people will argue, well, it is still quite easy, but I actually disagree. It's probably one of the most difficult Pokemon games out there, in my opinion, and Sun and Moon has got a few harder points, and I feel they could, if they can get balance between them, then technically they've, I think they've got a good balance if they want with the experience share on, but I feel that they don't need to. I think they should just go with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon difficulty, and then we'll be fine. So, yeah, and I will, but that's basically my argument. I don't think the older games they are more difficult by generally a margin, but I feel it was Generation 6 games were probably far too easy, but most of the games have been not too hard and not too easy. And also, I know you're going to be asking, well, what about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee? That's quite easy. If you use the starter Pokemon, yes, it is easy, but if you don't use it, you will have a lot more difficult time. It's not, like, extremely difficult, but it will be more difficult than if you did use it even. But that doesn't, there is the point that maybe Pokemon should try and make it a bit more difficult, because you're going to want to use your starter Pokemon. So it's kind of like, well, this has kind of been the point, and yeah, and I'm not going to say that this is the, Pokemon did this right, but, you know, I feel that they could have done a better job, but that doesn't mean that the games are more easier compared to older games. You just have to look for it more.
Nice. It's all lovely and nice and stuff. And no, it isn't an old toilet. It's a brand new toilet. What all new secret bases need nowadays. And I've even got a light and a really annoying fan thing that will keep the place nice and smelling fresh. What I need, and the sound will most certainly not get annoying in a day or 10. So, yeah. And I've even made myself a new sign to make sure no one comes finding me and keeps off my new secret base. It says, my secret base, spelt wrong. No one will figure it out. Stay out. It'll keep all the people away, keep them sure that I will not be here, and they'll never find me. Yeah, so I'll be safe from all the flames. So yeah.
Number 5. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu's and Eevee's catching mechanic makes Pokemon Let's Go repetitive. Okay, this is something I don't agree with. I understand if you don't like the catching mechanic, that's fine, it's your opinion, and I'm not going to say that you're wrong on thinking that. But I wouldn't say it makes the games repetitive. In fact, they're probably less repetitive compared to other Pokemon games, because you're doing less battling, and you're doing, well, something different. You're trying to throw Pokeballs at it, instead of doing battling a Pokemon, and then also battling trainers. It makes the games, in theory, less repetitive. I understand that you could argue, well, chucking the balls isn't just repetitive, but to be honest, even without motion controls, they're debatably still repetitive, especially catching legendary Pokemon without using any in most Pokemon games. So I just can't see how that argument makes any sense. I'm not saying that you're wrong on thinking that if you don't like the game because of the catching mechanic, for like you don't find it fun, that okay, that's your choice. I'm not arguing that that's the sense, but I wouldn't doesn't mean the games are repetitive, and I feel there's probably some of the less repetitive Pokemon games out there. And yeah, so that's my number 5. I'm going to move on to my final number 6. If you're wondering why I chose 6, I thought of 6 things, and that was really all I wanted to do, because I thought of one more than 5, but I couldn't think 10, so that's why I chose 6. So let's move on to number 6. And this is the fact that all mythical Pokemon in the modern day are handled badly. Okay, I say that all mythical Pokemon are handled badly. I'm actually only talking about 2 that haven't been handled badly, and that is Meltan and Melmetal. A lot of the older mythical Pokemon are really quite cool on how you got them. They generally had some sort of special event, and you did this thing, you got an item, and you go on and catch them. Most of nowadays, though, they just give them to you without much effort or anything. And a lot of people don't like that, and I agree. I don't like that either. I think that's just boring, and I wish they did a bit more stuff with the mythical Pokemon. However, I would say that Meltan and Melmetal were dealt in a very good way, in my opinion. And that is because you had to actually do effort to do it, and that is to go out and catch one with Pokemon Go. And I know what you're going to be saying. Well, I don't like that. I don't want to play Pokemon Go. This is just a marketing scheme. Well, considering you get it free if you have the game, because you get a box from Pokemon Let's Go to Pokemon Go. And I would be annoyed if this game, you had to pay for it. But considering Pokemon Go is completely free, and you don't have to do much, you can just transfer a Pokemon and just sit in your house and you'll get a Meltan. It will be completely easy and optional. You don't have to get one, and it doesn't involve too much effort. And okay, if you want a Melmetal, that will involve a little bit more effort, but it won't involve that much effort. You can still just sit down in your house and just catch tons of Meltan until you got it, because the box will just make loads of them come near you. So it doesn't involve that much difficulty if you really want one, and you don't even need one, so if you really don't want one. So considering it's free, but you do have to do some effort, and it feels like quite a difficult challenge with Melmetal, especially if you want to get it quite quickly. I don't see any problem with it, so I feel people are really a bit saying that all new mythical Pokemon are handled badly. I just don't agree completely with that. And okay, I wish more of them had more events like this, and I wish that you also learnt a bit more about Meltan and Melmetal, but I feel this is a step in the right direction, and I hope Pokemon Company and Game Freak do more events like this that evolves excitement. And also I do feel that Meltan having this mysterious first appearance was also really cool. So I just don't agree when people say that Meltan and Melmetal have been dealt really badly. No, not all mythical Pokemon have been dealt really badly, but just a lot of them in recent years. So yeah, that's just my opinion, and I know a lot of you will disagree with a lot of them, and I'm fine with that. Also, don't feel afraid to mention about some of your unpopular opinions in the comments. Make me feel get a little less of the heat. And I'm gonna say goodbye. So, see you all later.
22. I've stayed in here for over a few weeks now, and the fan has got on my nerves. I'm almost feel like I'm just hearing it. This new camera stand is just a nightmare, or where I'm placing my camera, and I've just, and worst of all, my best friend and work companion and video creator, Rara, he's decided that he wants to become a farmer instead. Don't know why, and live his new identity as Mr. Carrot Spear. Don't ask me. It's what he decided to do. And the worst of all, I've just realised no one knows where my house is, so how on earth they can burn it down? I've basically just been wasting my life in a toilet for the last 22 days for nothing. What fun.